Joining us on the show now, former Test cricketer in Aakash Chopra, and we'll be shortly joined by Mr. Sunil Gavaskar as well. But I'll start with you, Aakash. Ever since this has happened, it's been more than a day now. We haven't heard from either the match referee. In fact, certain reports suggest that he may not be keen to comment on this and he wants to just bury the hatchet. We haven't heard from the umpires. We haven't even heard from the ICC. First things first, I mean, before we get into who's right or who's wrong, wouldn't you like the governing body of the game to investigate this matter after this serious allegations have been made?
Oh, 100%. And ICC has let international cricket down many times over, so it's about time. If there is an issue, why not nip the problem in the bud, or instead of allowing it to just snowball into a bigger controversy, which it eventually be, because Cricket Australia has made a comment, BCCI has responded to that comment, and all of us are having an opinion, and that is why we are actually having this show as well, Nikhil. So if anybody who's supposed to have an opinion, and that opinion actually matters, it's the ICC, the referee, the umpires. It'll be nice if they come out and they actually say what they actually feel.
Okay, Aakash, from the kind of statements that we're getting, it's the Indian camp which wants some sort of investigation. We've heard it from the BCCI, we've heard it from the players, and quite obviously it's the Australian side which doesn't want any sort of investigation. They're happy to move on. We just heard from the coach there too, saying this is done and dusted, let's move on. We heard from Steve Waugh a short while ago. He says, whatever be the case, let's move on. I mean, it's very obvious what the stance is. Keeping that in mind, Australia not wanting investigation and the Indian team wanting investigation, which side would the ICC be tempted to tilt towards? I mean, they'd be caught between the, hard rock and the ocean.
They aren't actually. Just search for the truth. I think that's the right thing to do. And once you're just going after the truth, that nothing else should matter. Whether ICC, whether the Cricket Australia is happy, BCCI is unhappy, it doesn't matter. Just investigate, find the truth, and move on. But my issue is that the moment Cricket Australia, whether it's Darren Lehman or Steve or Sutherland, talking about that it's just an aberration and it hasn't happened in the past. And it's never been reported, they're actually insinuating that Virat Kohli is lying. So there is cheat versus lying, or cheating versus lying, that is just playing out in front of our eyes currently. And you would want to know that which side is cheating, which side is lying, or is it the same side that's lying was also culpable for the offense of cheating as well. So truth must come out, and I think BCCI has every right to feel slightly miffed if it doesn't happen.
Okay, this is something, Aakash, that I mentioned right at the start of the show, that if it's not nipped in the bud, it can snowball into a huge controversy. This is something that you foresee as well?
Yes, it could have serious ramifications. And when we've seen these things just snowball into things that suddenly become or go out of control, it has happened in the past. We all know about the monkey gate. We all know what happened in Sydney. We all know things just going completely pear-shaped in the middle of a series. And you can already see, if you were there at the ground, I was for the first two games, and I could tell you that there is a lot of needling happening. There is a lot of animated faces on the ground. So there is a fierce rivalry and competitiveness already on the field. Let's not add more to it for unnecessary reasons, because now, as I see it, it's like Virat Kohli and the Indian team are blaming the Cricket Australia or the Australian team for cheating, and the other side is now counter-arguing that, we didn't cheat, you're just lying.
Okay, Aakash, now let's look at the other side of the argument. Let's look at Australia's argument. They've said it was a brain fade. It was, we've heard from Steve Waugh as well. He says, a mistake, it's happened, let's move on. Now, just let's assume that it happened inadvertently, it wasn't intended to be, but however it may have happened, purposely, inadvertently, at the end of the day, a mistake is a mistake, and shouldn't the person who makes that mistake be punished?
100%, because just allow me a little longer to respond to this, because imagine if you go to the US and you obviously and driving a car, coming from India, it's right-hand drive, and you know the rules, and then suddenly you find yourself in the States driving on the wrong side of the road. Will you be penalized? Or will it be enough to just say, I come from a country where we drive on the right-hand side, so sorry about it, I won't repeat it again. Firstly, that will not be acceptable, so it should not be acceptable even here. Ignorance is bliss at times, but it cannot be used as an excuse in this particular incident. And also, if it happened inadvertently, as the Australians are asking us to believe, I think DRS has now been used for over 250 odd test matches. How many people actually turned around and looked at the pavilion to their teammates and asking for some sort of signal to help them out? It hasn't happened with the Indians. It hasn't happened anywhere else. The Englishmen have used it right from the day of DRS's inception. So why now? Why and how? Why Peter Hanscom suddenly said, okay, look in that direction and ask and see if there is some kind of help forthcoming. And Steve Smith was quite happily he just played along, and in fact his gestures clearly suggested that he was asking for help, and he actually admitted as well. So I don't think it was a case of brain fade.
Okay, we're also joined by Sunil Gavaskar now on the phone line. Sunil bhai, I have three questions for you. We're looking at that DRS debate. It's cheating versus brain fade. Now, first things first, BCCI has now asked for some sort of investigation from the ICC. This is something I asked Aakash. We haven't heard from the match referee, we haven't heard from the umpires, and we haven't heard from the governing body of cricket, ICC. Such a major controversy is brewing. We haven't heard from any of them. Would you like the ICC to investigate this matter, because concerns have been raised by the BCCI and also by the Indian skipper?
Yes, I think when a board, which is a member of the ICC, raises its concerns, then those concerns should be addressed by the governing body. I think they say, well, there is no need for any further sort of inquiry into this, or they should say, yes, we will make an inquiry and we will come back. So either way, I think some sort of an answer has to be given by the ICC for this particular situation, because clearly I think the BCCI feels that this was not just a one-off, and I think that the keeper has alluded to that in his press conference, in his media conference. So I think it is certainly something that the BCCI would do well to come out with its opinion sooner rather than later, before the next test begins.
Okay, Saim bhai, fair point. Now, the other thing I wanted to ask you is, we're looking at Australia's argument. We're not saying who's right, who's wrong, but we're just looking at Australia's argument. They're saying it was a brain fade, hinting at this was a one-time mistake. It happened by mistake. We were not intending to do this. And this is the question I asked Aakash. However it may have happened, even though it happened inadvertently, a mistake is a mistake, and shouldn't the guilty then be punished?
Of course. I think a mistake is a mistake. What invariably happens is because whether you get angry at a decision given against you when you react, it is because the brain is not functioning normally. I think when you're functioning normally, you would not react. So I think whether that happens because of the pressure of the situation, whatever it is, and I think therefore. Certainly, I think you don't make any excuses when somebody, throws his bat around, etc. You punish him, you pull him up. Whether you reprimand him or whether you then, ban him or fine him, that's something which the match referee has to decide. So clearly, I think in this instance also, something needs to be. At least we need to see that something's being done. Because let me also come to this fact that if Peter Hanscom, a relative newcomer to international cricket, is actually suggesting to you that, you look up. So does that indicate that this is what is happening? That this is what has been happening all the time? Because otherwise, why would Peter Hanscom even suggest to Steve Smith to look up at the dressing room? So that is something, because I haven't seen it, to be honest with you. I haven't seen any other instance when they've had a review, etc., where they've looked, at least I haven't noticed, them looking at the dressing room for guidance. But I think this is something that, we need to really, go to the bottom of.
Okay, very interesting point there by Mr. Gavaskar, saying that, is this the kind of culture? I mean, has this been happening for some time with the Australian team, not just in this series? Has it been happening before? This is something worth investigating. My final question to the two of you, and Saiba, I'd like you to answer this first. If because Stephen Smith has already said that yes, he is guilty, be it a brain fade or be it something that he did purposely. He's already said that yes, a mistake was made. Do you see any sort of repercussions, because it could be a blot on his career, any sort of repercussions on Stephen Smith as far as his captaincy of the Pune team is concerned?
No, I don't think, that should be, that's a completely different tournament. So the IPL is a completely different tournament. It's got nothing to do. I know he's playing against India, and this particular incident that happened yesterday happened against India. But I don't think that should affect his captaincy or affect him being the captain for the Pune team. No, that's I think going just a little over the top.
Okay, Aakash, your views, and the reason I asked that question is because right now he's getting a lot of bad press and a lot of bad, comments from the Indian public. And IPL being an Indian product, I mean, most fans would like to associate themselves with a captain who's quite, loved in the country. So in that respect is the reason that I asked this question. Your thoughts on that?
Two wrongs won't make a right, for starters. So yes, they wouldn't do it. In fact, just put yourself in that their franchise's owner's shoes. They've already replaced Mahendra Singh Dhoni for Steve Smith. Firstly, they've been criticized enough for that. And now if there is some sanity that has been restored with regards to their own team management, they wouldn't want to disrupt it a few weeks before the IPL starts. Steve Smith, all said and done, let's not argue about his or criticize and comment about his ability to lead a side, ability on his cricketing skills. He's been a top quality player, a champion cricketer. He's shown what he can do with the bat on that turning pitch in Pune as well. So I don't think it is going to have any ramification with regards to his role in the IPL.